Take a moment and ask yourself, the life you're living today, is it the result of a deliberate plan or just a chain of reactions to whatever happens around you? You might be busy, you might even feel fine, but the real question is, are you moving forward or are you simply spinning in circles and calling it life? Earl Nightingale once said, most people don't know what they really want, and so they spend their entire lives working for things that won't get them anywhere. That's a hard truth, but it's also a powerful wake-up call. Because if you don't know what you want, someone else will decide for you. Your boss, social media circumstances, or even your own unconscious habits. We live in a world that's moving faster, getting noisier, and filled with ever more distractions. But none of that changes a simple truth. Your life is the direct result of what you do every single day. Not what you dream, not what you say, not what you promise, but what you actually do. Want to change your life? Don't look for motivation. Don't wait for better timing. Start with one simple but powerful shift. Build a day of intention. Because if you can master one day, you can master a week. Master a week, you can master a month. And if you can repeat that long enough, you can redesign your entire life. The sad reality is most people live by default, not by design. They wake up, rush, react, stay busy, get tired, and end the day without knowing whether they move closer or farther from their true goals. They live from morning to night without ever stopping to ask, did today take me closer to where I want to be? But you don't have to live like that. You can start right now. You don't have to wait until Monday next month or New Year's Day. You don't need more time, money, or permission. All you need is a decision. A decision that says, starting today, I will live with a plan. I will live with intention, with priorities, and with an unshakable commitment to become the best version of myself. And in this series, I'll guide you through each key step to make that happen, from how to start your morning build discipline, respect the small things, to how to reclaim each hour of your day. Not with theories, but with proven truths and real actions you can take right after reading. Because in the end, you are not a product of your circumstances. You are a product of your habits. And habits, like any skill, are built, not inherited. Welcome to the journey of living by design. Success doesn't come from luck, it comes from habit. Let me start with a simple yet powerful question. What did you do this morning? Maybe you hit the snooze button 3 times before getting out of bed. Maybe you grabbed your phone, scrolled through negative news, and rushed out the door without even stopping to appreciate the fact that you're alive. And then you wonder, why isn't my life changing? The answer doesn't lie in luck, brilliance, or a privileged starting point. It lies in what you did or didn't do this morning. Earl Nightingale once said, we become what we think about most of the time, but I'd add this. We also become what we repeat most of the time. You can think positively, read hundreds of success books, watch thousands of motivational videos. But if you don't turn those thoughts into repeated concrete actions every day, success will forever remain something you admire, never something you possess. Throughout my career, I've met hundreds of people who were smarter, more talented, and more creative than I am. But after many years, you look around and they're still stuck, or worse, lost. Why? Because they didn't have the right habits. I wasn't better than them. I just repeated the right actions every day until they became who I am. And when you act like a successful person, you become one. Let me emphasize something. Success is not an event. It's not an award, a social media photo, or the day you get promoted or earn your first million. Success is the compounded result of small behaviors repeated daily, the kind of actions most people dismiss as too small or not worth it. Do you know what really defines a successful person? It's not IQ, not degrees, not connections. It's the system of habits they build. Successful people wake up early, read daily, take care of their health, plan their time, and keep promises to themselves. Unsuccessful people wake up too, but later. They act but without goals, without systems, without consistency. Imagine life as a construction project. Every small action is a brick. If you lay bricks steadily and precisely every day, you'll build a castle. But if you lay one brick and skip 3 days, or stack bricks on top of each other without a foundation, you'll end up with a mess. Here in America, we're often taught the American dream that anyone can succeed if they work hard. That's partly true, but not enough. Because hard work without direction just burns you out without moving you forward. The secret lies in consistent effort with intention. You don't need to do something big, you just need to do something small every single day. That's how you master time instead of being swept away by it. And when you repeat the right actions every day, something magical happens. You don't need to try to be disciplined. You become disciplined. You don't need to chase wealth. You become the kind of person who naturally creates it. Your identity transforms. You're no longer someone trying to change, you are the better version of yourself. You see, we're not ruled by destiny, we're ruled by what we repeat. Every morning you hit snooze, you delay your dreams. Every time you scroll social media instead of reading, you delay your growth. Every just today junk meal delays the healthy body you want. Never underestimate an ordinary day, because your life is a chain of ordinary days. There is no grand achievement without hundreds of silent, consistent steps beforehand. So what should you do? It's simple but not easy. Start redesigning your daily habits. Start tomorrow morning. Don't try to change the world. Just wake up at the time you promise yourself. Spend 15 minutes in quiet reflection. Write down 3 important tasks you'll complete today. Read 5 pages of a book. Take care of your body, move it, feed it right, and repeat. Repeat long enough, and those actions will become you. And you will become the person you once only dreamed of being. Remember this. You can't build an extraordinary life with mediocre habits. If you want your life to change, let it begin with what you do when no one is watching. It's those quiet, unseen habits that shape your destiny forever. Once you understand this, you don't need to wait for a miracle. You are the miracle. And that miracle is built every morning through small disciplined actions every single day. Your morning, the opening note of life's grand symphony. There's one unshakable truth that successful people around the world understand. How you start your morning determines how you live the rest of your day. But it doesn't stop at just one day, it's the foundation of your entire life. Just like a powerful symphony begins with a few precise notes, your morning sets the rhythm for everything that follows. Earl Nightingale once said, "We all move in the direction we are headed, some of us just realize it, others don't." And if you think about it, the first step you take each day is the moment you open your eyes. You're not just waking up, you're laying the foundation for your future. In today's modern culture, we talk a lot about motivation, but true motivation doesn't come from outside. It comes from the internal rhythm you create every morning. That's why your morning isn't just a part of your day, it's the most important part. Imagine this, if your life were a skyscraper, your morning would be the foundation. If you begin with chaos, clutter, and rushing, you'll likely carry that same energy into the rest of your day. But if you begin with calm, clarity, and purpose, you enter the world as the master of your time, not its victim. It's no coincidence that high performers, from Olympic athletes and top CEOs to great thinkers, follow strict morning routines. They don't wake up and see what happens. They design their mornings. They don't ask, "What will happen to me today?" They affirm, "What will I make happen today?" If you want a life with direction, value, and meaningful outcomes, you must begin with a morning that carries direction, value, and meaningful habits. That's when you take charge of your tempo instead of letting life's noise sweep you away. So what does a successful morning look like? First, it doesn't begin with hitting snooze 5 times. It begins with an inner commitment. Today I will live as if this day is a crucial building block of my future. A powerful morning doesn't have to last hours. It just needs to be designed right. Wake up at the time you promised yourself. Don't grab your phone the moment you open your eyes. Spend 5 minutes breathing deeply, feeling alive. Read a short inspirational passage to feed your mind. Write down your three main goals for the day. Move your body even if it's just stretching or walking a few steps. See just a few small actions, but they send a clear signal to your brain. Today I'm the one in charge of my life. We live in a world filled with noise, distractions, and constant interruptions. If you don't protect your morning, others will take it from you. Social media, emails, news, they'll hijack your day before it even starts. And when you begin the day in reaction, you spend the whole day putting out fires instead of building something meaningful. Don't underestimate the power of that first hour after you wake up. It's your golden hour when your energy, focus, and clarity are at their peak. Use it well, and you feel like you're steering your life. Waste it, and you're just being dragged through another day. Earl Nightingale also said, "We are always in motion. The only question is, do we know which direction we're heading in?" A planned morning helps you answer that question. You don't need to be a morning person to do this. You just need to be someone who takes responsibility for their future. You don't have to love waking up early. You just have to love the version of yourself you'll become when you do. This isn't a habit, it's a character trait. When you start your day with a small win, you build momentum for the rest of the day. Make your bed, drink a glass of water, write down one idea, move for 10 minutes. Each action is a vote for the person you're becoming. Remember, this success doesn't arrive with fanfare. It sneaks into the mornings you live with discipline. It doesn't strike like a miracle, it builds slowly through the right actions, done quietly even when no one is watching. And finally, ask yourself each morning, am I starting the day like a builder or like someone being dragged by life? If you don't like the answer, don't wait. Change doesn't begin next week. It doesn't begin on New Year's Day. It begins tomorrow morning. Because you cannot live an extraordinary life with an ordinary morning. Discipline, the quiet craftsman behind every achievement. If you ask me what's the single most important factor for achieving success in any area of life, I wouldn't say talent. I wouldn't pick intelligence, background, or luck. I'd give you just one word: discipline. Earl Nightingale once emphasized, we are the sum total of our daily habits. And what forms our habits? Discipline. Not inspiration, not fleeting motivation, not waking up on a beautiful morning feeling fired up, but a conscious decision to do what's right even when you don't feel like it. In a world full of temptations, distractions, and shortcuts, discipline is rare, but it's what changes everything. It's not something people praise you for when you start, but it's what everyone admires when the results show. Discipline is the quiet builder, unflashy, uncelebrated, but solid and unshakable. Picture your life as a bridge spanning the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That bridge can't be built on bursts of inspiration. It can't be completed in one afternoon. It must be built brick by brick with acts of discipline repeated daily. One reading session when you feel like watching TV. One early wake up when your body begs for 5 more minutes. One healthy meal when junk food calls your name. Each act is a brick. Each disciplined decision is a step forward. Discipline doesn't require perfection, it requires consistency. You don't need to start with anything grand. Just one small act repeated until it's no longer effort, it becomes second nature. Many people think discipline is restrictive, that it's rigid, that it steals your freedom. But that's a dangerous misunderstanding. Discipline doesn't take away freedom, it creates freedom. When you have discipline with money, you gain financial freedom. When you have discipline with your body, you gain freedom from illness. When you have discipline with your time, you gain the freedom to live the life you choose, not one dictated by others. If you don't discipline yourself, the world will discipline you through consequences. There's something powerful about discipline that few talk about. It is the foundation of self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce the belief that I am someone I can count on. On the other hand, every time you break a promise, skip a workout, procrastinate, overspend, you tell yourself, My word doesn't matter, and your self-worth begins to crumble from there. Discipline isn't a gift from the heavens. It's a decision repeated until it becomes inseparable from who you are. And the beautiful part is anyone can start. Your past doesn't matter. Your failures don't disqualify you. What matters is, are you willing to begin again today with renewed commitment? Just imagine choosing one act of discipline per day, waking up 30 minutes earlier, reading 10 pages, journaling, eating clean, exercising, not checking your phone after 10 p.m. Just one, but do it without fail. After 7 days, it becomes a habit. After 30 days, it becomes a foundation. After 365 days, you won't even recognize the old version of you. Discipline is character in action. It's strength made visible. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't demand instant rewards, because it understands the greatest reward is becoming someone you deeply admire. Earl Nightingale said success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal. But you can't make progress unless you take consistent steps, and you can't step forward steadily without discipline. In today's world, discipline is more valuable than ever. Everyone's chasing speed conveniences, but success never belonged to ease. It's the reward for those who embrace difficulty, routine, and repetition. Discipline is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it weakens. But train it daily and it becomes strong enough to resist bad habits, temptations, and laziness. You may have talent, you may have opportunities, but without discipline, it all slips through your fingers. You may not be the most talented person in the room, but if you're the most consistent, you'll be the last one standing when everyone else quits. And that's when you win. If today's message resonates with you, leave a comment below. Share what awakens something in you. Share what you'll change starting tomorrow. Because when you write it down, you're not just connecting with me, you're committing to yourself. And if you want to continue the journey of intentional living, hit that subscribe button. Discipline, the quiet craftsman behind every achievement. If you asked me, what's the single most important factor for achieving success in any area of life? I wouldn't say talent. I wouldn't pick intelligence, background, or luck. I'd give you just one word: discipline. Earl Nightingale once emphasized, we are the sum total of our daily habits. And what forms our habits? Discipline, not inspiration, not fleeting motivation, not waking up on a beautiful morning feeling fired up, but a conscious decision to do what's right even when you don't feel like it. In a world full of temptations, distractions, and shortcuts, discipline is rare, but it's what changes everything. It's not something people praise you for when you start, but it's what everyone admires when the results show. Discipline is the quiet builder, unflashy, uncelebrated, but solid and unshakable. Picture your life as a bridge spanning the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That bridge can't be built on bursts of inspiration. It can't be completed in one afternoon. It must be built brick by brick with acts of discipline repeated daily. One reading session when you feel like watching TV. One early wake-up when your body begs for 5 more minutes. One healthy meal when junk food calls your name. Each act is a brick. Each disciplined decision is a step forward. Discipline doesn't require perfection, it requires consistency. You don't need to start with anything grand. Just one small act repeated until it's no longer effort, it becomes second nature. Many people think discipline is restrictive, that it's rigid, that it steals your freedom. But that's a dangerous misunderstanding. Discipline doesn't take away freedom, it creates freedom. When you have discipline with money, you gain financial freedom. When you have discipline with your body, you gain freedom from illness. When you have discipline with your time, you gain the freedom to live the life you choose, not one dictated by others. If you don't discipline yourself, the world will discipline you through consequences. There's something powerful about discipline that few talk about. It is the foundation of self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, You reinforce the belief that I am someone I can count on. On the other hand, every time you break a promise, skip a workout, procrastinate, overspend, you tell yourself, my word doesn't matter, and your self-worth begins to crumble from there. Discipline isn't a gift from the heavens. It's a decision repeated until it becomes inseparable from who you are. And the beautiful part is anyone can start. Your past doesn't matter. Your failures don't disqualify you. What matters is, are you willing to begin again today with renewed commitment? Just imagine choosing one act of discipline per day, waking up 30 minutes earlier, reading 10 pages, journaling, eating clean, exercising, not checking your phone after 10 p.m. Just one, but do it without fail. After 7 days, it becomes a habit. After 30 days, it becomes a foundation. After 365 days, you won't even recognize the old version of you. Discipline is character in action. It's strength made visible. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't demand instant rewards, because it understands the greatest reward is becoming someone you deeply admire. Earl Nightingale said success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal. But you can't make progress unless you take consistent steps. And you can't step forward steadily without discipline. In today's world, discipline is more valuable than ever. Everyone's chasing speed, convenience, ease. But success never belonged to ease. It's the reward for those who embrace difficulty, routine, and repetition. Discipline is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it weakens. But train it daily and it becomes strong enough to resist bad habits, temptations, and laziness. You may have talent, you may have opportunities, but without discipline, it all slips through your fingers. You may not be the most talented person in the room, but if you're the most consistent, you'll be the last one standing when everyone else quits. And that's when you win. If today's message resonates with you, leave a comment below. Share what awakens something in you. Share what you'll change starting tomorrow. Because when you write it down, you're not just connecting with me, you're committing to yourself. And if you want to continue the journey of intentional living, hit that subscribe button. Nerban Montiep Tukvoy Fenfor Chicken Hantiep Fenforn. Banjanoy Tip. Chat GP Janoy Duoy Jai Labandik Sang Tieng. Anhmai Kua Fanshero Tutailio Banjan Krunkap. Success doesn't come from giant leaps, but from steady steps. If I could whisper one thing in your ear every morning before you get out of bed, it would be this: don't underestimate the small things. Because it's the small things, the actions that seem insignificant, meaningless, unnoticed, that shape your entire life. Earl Nightingale once said, "Success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal." And you know what? That progress doesn't happen in dramatic leaps or loud victories. It happens through small, quiet wins repeated every single day. Take a moment to look closely at your life. You'll realize this: you don't fail because of one bad day. You don't become overweight because of one dessert. You don't go broke from one impulsive purchase. But you do decline when those choices are repeated day after day. Likewise, you don't succeed from one productive day. You don't get healthy from one workout. You don't build wealth from one smart investment. But if you repeat the right actions, if you respect the small details every day, then an extraordinary life gets built from there. We live in a world that worships the big achievements, big moments, big breakthroughs. But real life is made of the small. No castle is built from a single massive stone. It's built from thousands of bricks placed carefully day after day. And your life is the same. You might say to me, I want to live a meaningful life. Then start by living a meaningful day. Because here's the truth: you can't have an extraordinary year if every day is dull and careless. You can't live a remarkable life if your days are nothing but survival. Every choice you make, no matter how small, is a brick. A professional email you send, a glass of water instead of soda, a hug for a loved one, a good idea you jot down instead of letting it slip away. These are bricks, and you are the builder laying each one to create the future you dream of. Successful people aren't the ones who always know how to do big things. They're the ones who never stop doing the small right things. They understand that real power doesn't lie in occasional action, it lies in consistent action. Let me tell you about the power of compounding, something most people underestimate. If you read 10 pages a day, you'll read over 3,600 pages a year. That's at least 12 books. If you save just $5 a day, you'll have over $1,800 by year's end. If you study 15 minutes a day in 5 years, you'll be an expert in your field. But here's the problem: because those things are small, you'll be tempted to skip them. Because the results don't show up immediately, you'll think they're pointless. That's where most people fail. They ignore the small and chase the big. Remember this: every great success is the result of a series of small, intentional, disciplined choices repeated day after day. And every long-term failure begins with small missteps that are left unchecked. It's like a ship changing course by just 1 degree. You don't notice it after a minute. But after 100 miles, it ends up in a completely different place. And so does your life. A small decision, positive or negative, when repeated long enough, will lead you to a radically different destination. So don't wait for a big change. Don't wait for New Year's. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for others to change. Just change the way you live today. Change how you start your morning. Change how you speak to yourself. Change how you react to adversity. Just one thing. And do it today. Because once you learn how to win the small battles, you'll never fear the big ones again. Once you build the momentum of small wins, you'll stop depending on emotions and start living from your values. Earl Nightingale once said, "We don't get what we want. We get what we deserve." And we deserve the results of consistent, wise, and disciplined choices repeated over time. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, confused, or don't know where to begin, forget the 5-year goal. Forget the 10-year plan. Just answer this one simple question: what small thing can I do right now that brings me closer to the person I want to become? Then do it. No need to be perfect. No need to rush. Just be consistent. And one day people will call you lucky, gifted, or extraordinary. But you'll know, and I'll know, that it all started with the small, quiet things you did every single day. Evenings, where you rewrite the story of your life. Do you know what part of the day is most often wasted? Not the morning, not the afternoon. It's the evening, that quiet stretch of time most people unknowingly throw away. In our fast-paced lives, evenings have become landing zones for exhaustion. We come home worn out, turn on the TV, scroll through social media, eat mindlessly, and drift off to sleep with our phones in hand. The day ends without reflection, without preparation, and without intention for the next. Earl Nightingale once said, "You cannot change your life until you change what you do daily." I would add, and you cannot change your daily habits if you don't pause at the end of the day to reflect and redesign them. Mornings are for launching, evenings are for completing. If the morning is the builder beginning the masterpiece, the evening is the artist refining the final brushstrokes. If you don't take time to reflect, you'll never truly understand how you're living. You'll merely exist, not evolve. Imagine you are the captain of your life's ship. Each day you sail a little further across a vast ocean. If you never check the charts at night, never determine your position, never adjust your heading, you may be drifting far off course without even knowing it. Then one day you look back and wonder, how did I end up here? Evening is your moment to pause and realign your direction. You don't need hours for this. Just 10 to 15 minutes before sleep. Turn off the TV, put your phone aside, take out a notebook and a pen, and ask yourself a few simple questions. What did I do well today? What did I waste? Did I live as the person I want to become? What needs improvement? What's the number one priority for tomorrow? When you write these things down, you're signaling to your subconscious, I live intentionally. I don't let life happen randomly, I create it. Evenings aren't just for rest, they're for harvesting. A farmer doesn't simply plant and walk away. They inspect the crops, adjust for conditions, protect what's growing. You must do the same. After a day of planting actions, you must review the results and prepare for the next harvest. You should also use your evenings to set up tomorrow because starting a day from scratch is the worst thing you can do to your momentum. A productive morning begins the night before. Write down your top 3 tasks for tomorrow. Prepare your clothes and workspace. Silence unnecessary notifications. Set your alarm 15 minutes earlier than usual. And most importantly, go to bed on time. Don't underestimate the power of preparation. As Earl Nightingale said, people with plans always outperform those with ideas. And the best plans aren't made in the chaos of morning, they're crafted in the calm of evening. Evenings are also for restoring your spirit. It's not the time to fill your brain with loud shows or chaotic headlines. Use this time to nurture your mind. Listen to calming music. Read a few pages of something uplifting. Write down what you're grateful for. Breathe deeply, slowly. Forgive yourself for what you didn't accomplish. You see, many people are stuck in a loop: sleep, work, sleep, never actually resting. Because they don't have true evenings. They don't have a closing ritual, and they carry that disorder into their sleep, into the next day, into their entire future. You cannot live a life of purpose if each day ends in aimlessness. When you learn how to close a day, you also learn how to close the past. Every evening you give yourself the gift of a fresh start, wiser, lighter, clearer. And the amazing part is, you don't need anyone's permission to do that. You grant yourself that permission. Understand this: the difference between a life worth living and a life that simply passes by lies in moments like these. Evenings filled with reflection, evenings filled with preparation, evenings where you choose to end your day with meaning. Earl Nightingale once said, "We get from life what we demand from ourselves." So demand more. Demand that you live each day as if it's a chapter in your life book. And the evening, that's when you edit, refine, and make that chapter worth remembering. You can't control your entire future, but you can absolutely control how you end today. And sometimes ending a day the right way is exactly how you begin to change your entire life. Success is no accident. It's a deliberate blueprint. One of the biggest myths people carry through life is the belief that success is the result of luck, random opportunities, or a surprise breakthrough. But the truth, as Earl Nightingale emphasized, is that success never happens by chance. It's not some miracle that falls from the sky. It's the outcome of a deliberate blueprint repeated day after day. You don't stumble upon a better life. You build it. You don't accidentally become influential, wealthy, or fulfilled. You become that person through planning, strategic action, and patient consistency. Ever wonder why two people with the same background, the same talents, and the same opportunities end up in completely different places? 10 years later, the answer is simple. One lived by design, the other by reaction. Successful people don't reach the end of a day and ask, "What did I accomplish today?" They start the day asking, "What will I do today to move closer to the future?" I want. They don't live randomly. They live intentionally. They don't follow life's flow. They take the wheel. You don't need to be a genius to succeed. You just need to be crystal clear on what you want and design your days around that vision. Earl Nightingale said, "All you need to succeed in life is a clear goal and the unchanging will to achieve it. And for that goal to become reality, you must redesign the way you live hour by hour." Look at your calendar. It speaks louder than your words. You may say you value health, but if your schedule doesn't include workouts, you're lying to yourself. You may say you want financial freedom, but if there's no time allocated to learning, investing, or strategic work, then you're hoping, not designing. Want to know who you'll be in 5 years? It's simple. Look at what you do today. Your repeated actions are the silent blueprint shaping your future. The good news? You can adjust that blueprint anytime. Just like an architect edits a blueprint when spotting a flaw, you can step back and ask, am I on the right track? Am I spending time on what truly matters? Are my actions aligned with my goals? If not, don't panic. You don't need a massive overhaul. You just need one intentional change every day. Transformation doesn't come from dramatic shifts, it comes from structured living one small choice at a time. A person living by design knows what time of day they're most productive, what distracts them and how to eliminate it, their core values and how to honor them, who belongs in their inner circle and who doesn't. Living by design doesn't mean rigid or boring. Quite the opposite, it's flexible but guided. Like a ship with a clear map, it can adjust to the waves but never loses direction. You may ask, how do I start living by design? Start with paper and pen. One quiet evening, ask yourself, who do I want to be 1 year from now? What does my best self do every day? What needs to be in my daily routine? What do I need to remove to make space for better things? Then start implementing small elements. 15 minutes of reading, 30 minutes of morning planning, 3 daily priorities, no social media during work hours, weekly phone call to a loved one. That is the design. That is the foundation of a life worth living. Earl Nightingale always stressed anyone can succeed if they know what they want and spend their day moving in that direction. The problem is, most people don't even ask themselves what they want. Worse, they never pause long enough to design how to get there. But you're different because you're reading this. You're awakening. You're choosing to redesign your life, starting with how you live today. And believe me, there's nothing more powerful than a person with a goal, a plan, and the discipline to follow through. Start now, not perfectly, just intentionally. Live every day like someone building something bigger than themselves. Because in the end, life isn't something that happens to you. Life is something you create through every decision, every action, every carefully designed hour. Busy doesn't mean productive. Know the difference before it's too late. One of the biggest illusions modern people fall into is this: being busy means you're making progress. But if you pause even just for a minute and look honestly at yourself, you might realize a difficult truth: you're moving very fast, but not going anywhere meaningful. Earl Nightingale once said, "One of the most dangerous things a person can do is spend their life climbing a ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall." That's exactly what happens when you confuse being busy with making progress. Being busy is a trap. It makes you feel important, needed, and useful. It creates the illusion of value. But productivity, not busyness, is what creates real results. You can be busy from morning until night and still not complete anything meaningful. You can answer dozens of emails, attend countless meetings, and check off endless tasks. But if none of it moves you closer to your true goal, then you're just in motion, not moving forward. Here's the truth: not all actions have equal value. In the classic book on productivity, the 80-20 principle teaches us that 80% of results come from just 20% of actions. That means most of what you do in a day isn't delivering the value you think it is. But because you don't pause to reflect, you get swept up in the whirlwind of urgent but unimportant tasks. Successful people don't do more than others. They just do better. They choose carefully what deserves their time and focus. They don't try to fill their schedule. They try to clarify what matters most. You can be busy all day, but if at night you can't clearly answer the question, did I move one step closer to my life's true goal today? Then you're functioning like a machine, not living like a purposeful human being. Earl Nightingale taught we become what we think about all day long. I would add, and we achieve what we act on with intention every day. Productivity starts with clarity of priorities. You don't need to do 10 things each day. Just do 3 important things thoroughly and with full focus. You don't need to check your email every 10 minutes. Twice a day is enough. Use the rest of the time for deep, meaningful work. You don't need to meet everyone, join every call, or respond to every message. Just focus on the people, projects, and ideas that align with your life's direction. Don't confuse busyness with dedication. A dedicated person isn't frantic, they're intentional. They know what deserves their attention. They say no to distractions. They don't chase more, they pursue better. You can measure your productivity with just one question: am I truly moving forward or just trying to survive each day? Because if you don't design your day, if you don't set your priorities, the world will. and it will fill your time with noise distractions and meaningless tasks. Here's the golden rule of intentional living. Don't start your day until you've finished it on paper. Earl Nightingale once shared, successful people spend 10% of their time planning so the other 90% can be used effectively. Don't walk into your day with an empty mind. Have a strategy. Ask yourself, what's the highest leverage task I can complete today? What if done will make other tasks easier or unnecessary? What serves my long-term vision, not just today's to-do list? You don't need a jam-packed calendar. You need a purposeful day. You don't need the feeling of being breathlessly busy. You need the peace of knowing you're making real progress. Productivity is knowing what you're doing and why it matters. Remember, life doesn't reward you for being busy. It rewards you for creating value. And value comes from focused, intentional, prioritized action. So if you want to live an extraordinary life, don't ask, what more can I do? Ask, what must I eliminate to make space for what truly matters? And Earl Nightingale was right when he said, we are the result of small choices repeated day after day. And one of the most powerful choices is this: choose productivity over busyness. Each day is a vote for the life you want. If you've made it this far, if you've taken the time to read, reflect, and absorb, there's one thing I know for sure: you're no longer living by default. You're someone who has chosen to live by design. Earl Nightingale once said, life doesn't reward us for what we know. It rewards us for what we do with what we know. And now you know. You know that success isn't a sudden event, but the compounded result of small, consistent, purposeful actions repeated daily. You know that your mornings shape your future, your evenings prepare and refine it, and in between are hundreds of small choices that determine what you're really building. You know that discipline is not a burden, but the bridge to freedom. That it's not about doing more, but doing what matters deeply, intentionally, and with consistency. And now you face the only thing that truly matters: action. Everything you've read, if not applied, will fade like a breeze through your thoughts. But if you begin just one small step today, that step becomes the first brick of a completely different future. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. No one does that. But you can. Wake up 15 minutes earlier to sit quietly and write down 3 things you're grateful for. Disconnect from your phone 30 minutes before bed and read a few good pages instead. Write down one clear goal for tomorrow and commit to finishing it. Don't underestimate these small actions, because each day, each decision is a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. And after thousands of votes, your identity is formed, not by your dreams, but by your repeated real actions. You have the power to create something extraordinary, not through rare talent, but through a purposefully designed life. And that's the beauty of it. Success doesn't discriminate. It belongs to those who build brick by brick, day by day. Remember this: everyone gets tired, everyone gets busy, but not everyone is effective. Not everyone is consistent. Not everyone is willing to live with a commitment to becoming more. If you choose differently, you will live differently. If you raise the standard for each day, you will see life rise to meet it. Now is the time to return to the most important question of all. If I lived every day like today, what kind of life would I be building? Answer that with complete honesty. If your answer excites you, keep going. Double down. If your answer discourages you, don't run. Adjust your course. Start again. One day at a time. As Nightingale once said, we become what we think about, but we also become what we consistently act toward. You don't need to know exactly where you'll be 10 years from now. You just need to know how you'll live tomorrow. And then repeat. Start each morning with clarity. Choose each action with commitment. End each night with reflection and preparation. This isn't a theory, it's a formula. A formula for living without regret. A formula for building a meaningful life, not from bursts of motivation, but from consistent, deliberate action. You are holding the pen to write the next chapter of your life. Write it with awareness, with resolve, with an open heart and a strong spirit. If this content resonated with you, don't forget to leave a comment below. Share what sparks something inside you. Share what you'll change starting tomorrow. Because when you write it down, you're not just connecting with me, you're making a commitment to yourself. And if you want to continue this journey of intentional living, subscribe to the channel. Not just to catch the next video, but to make this space a daily source of growth. A place where you'll be reminded of your potential, your discipline, and your power to live by design. Hit the notification bell because sometimes the right idea at the right moment can change your entire direction. Live each day like it's a brick you're laying for your own extraordinary future.